Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Management, a VUCA perspective where we discuss the fundamentals of the subject. I am Siddhiprad Bhattacharya, your friend and instructor, and we are going on to the 9th module in the series. So, before we begin, let's look at one of the greatest people, one of the best showmakers, one of the greatest storytellers of all time, Walt Disney, and what he has to say about marketing. He says that goal of marketing is to create a customer who is so loyal that they would not buy from anyone else. He has ably demonstrated it in his life and in his work, and he has created billions of people who follow what Walt Disney and his entire organization has to offer in terms of entertainment. This is something which we must understand and embody in our work when we create marketing campaigns, when we create collaterals, when we engage with the customer. Today we are discussing an Indian case study. When we discussed international case studies the previous time around, this time we are looking at how an Indian firm is taking the fight to expand into territories which was not its core competency in the past. We are talking about a spice brand from South India. Why the uncharted territories becomes a problem and is something that a brand like the one we are going to speak of covers that particular ambit is because you have to cover a lot of cultural, vernacular and other logistical issues that you have to build a bridge over. Today, we are trying to understand how this particular player is trying to sell masalas. Masalas are almost a commodity in the market. You can buy them off the main general trade and the wholesale markets that are available. You can buy them in shops at the local retail or kirana store level, and you can also buy them in packaged form through modern trade, and it is also available in the retail formats as well. Here, to create a space for itself to actually dislodge some market share from established and entrenched players is the big game which this brand is up to. So, today in the 9th module, we take up the case of Achi Masalas. Achi is a Tamil word which means mother, and obviously the taste that one fondly remembers and one fondly wants to recreate all of the while in their life as they consume food is the one that we have always grown up with and the one which we are most familiar with, our mother's cooking. So, hence Achi Masala is something which came about from this particular thought process, and it has come from South India, it has come from Tamil Nadu, and it creates a case where you are trying to enter into a red ocean scenario. We have discussed what a red ocean is in the previous conversations. When you have a market that is highly contested, when there are lots of players who are vying for that particular market's share, and the product that you are going to bring out there is not really very differentiated. You must set about creating a communication that is different. You must set about creating a splash that is viewed as something unique, and you must set about creating enough of differentiation in the consumer's minds. There has to be an offering which is completely in its whole offering, it has to be set apart from whatever is currently available. With that, we enter into Achi Masala's story. Now, Achi Group, a South Indian FMCG conglomerate, was led by its CMD. His name is A.D. Padma Singh Isaac, and their plan has been to expand into the North India masala market. They were big and strong down south in the 4 South Indian states. They were also known very, very well for their dominance in these 4 South Indian states. So, they have a very strong presence in Tamil Nadu, but they also have an outlying presence in Karnataka, Andhra and Kerala. Achi Masala now has entered this competitive segment in 2015. So, they have already had about close to a decade's worth of run in the northern markets as such, and they look at it as part of their growth strategy, because the amount of masalas which you can sell down south in the 4 South Indian states is limited, and there is a whole different set of masalas that can be explored up north, and which is something which Achi is also trying to do. The challenge here is something which yet is to be seen how it unravels, and whether this particular brand, which is deeply rooted in South Indian flavors, is actually able to make a dent and can replicate the success it has achieved down south in the North Indian consumers' heart and mind. Now, before we get into the depth of Achi Masala's goings on, let us look at how the food processing industry in India is placed. The scenario as it plays out, we can see that processed food exports have been growing in India, and at a very, very healthy trot of 21.5% during financial years 11 to 16, and this was by 2016 accounting to US$ 19.3374 million. So, this was a humongous growth which the Indian food processing industry was seeing, and there was massive growth which had to showcase that there is enough space for new entrants. Hence, it gave that particular idea that a South Indian brand could actually expand northwards. There was also surge in demands for fresh fruits and vegetables, with a shift in the consumption, because people were eating healthier, they were preferring more of home cooked food compared to what we can get from outside. Yes, ordering in was also growing at the same point in time, but the awareness was also pushing the consumer towards creating food at home, therefore fomenting the need for masalas. And by 2024, it is expected that it will employ 9 million people in India. So, it is a humongous workforce which is brought into play to support the food processing industry in India. So, this is the kind of scenario that we are looking at. The market size in 2016 was 258 billion for all India, and import duty was scrapped. This was something which came to the aid of food processing units, and capital goods and raw materials were taken off the export oriented units list with 100% duty taken off, and excise duty exemption of 100% for goods used in installation of cold storage facilities was also a boon which the sector received. In the 2020 fiscal, market size was forecasted at that point in time to reach about $482 billion. So, this was a humongous amount of growth which the industry was seeing when the decision was made. Now, amongst these, there were 3 types of food processing. The primary and secondary would account for about 60%, which is 30-30 a piece, give or take, and the tertiary, which is where Achi Masala's place was a huge 40% of the entire food processing pie. The 3 types, as you know, primary is where you bring out, sort, grade and package the produce. So, you have got fruits, you have got vegetables, rice, milk, spices, these are in their natural form. These are not processed. So, these are as close to the commodity aspect as it gets. The secondary part of food processing took in the form of reshaping the same foods for ease of consumption. So, if you have got grain, it gets powdered into flour. If you have got nuts etc. produced, you get oil cakes out of it. Tea leaves are extracted from the tea plantations, and you get beverages powder like coffee etc. So, these were processed and ready to create that particular end result food item, and this is the secondary processing. Together the first and second would create a 60% of the entire produce, and the third is the tertiary food processing, where you have got processed fruits, vegetables, juices, jam and jelly, etc. And this is where the masalas market also exists, because it is a deep processing of all the ingredients to give you ready to use products. Like we spoke of, the 60%, 40% divide is something which more or less is a feature of the sector and continues to be so. Now, the human problem was that the growth of a South Indian brand in a North Indian space was being challenged. It was something which the CMD Mr. A.D. Padma Singh Isaac took on, and he, by his capabilities, was a first generation entrepreneur from Tamil Nadu. So, his experiences were obviously first and foremost limited to the geography where he originated from, but despite the fact he decided to take the challenge on. They started the entire Aachi enterprise by bringing out Twinkle Liquid Blue, which is a brand which is very commonly found in Tamil Nadu markets, and that is where their entire entrepreneurial journey started from. The inspiration for Aachi Masala is something we already know, that it came from the mother and wife of Mr. Isaac, because they were the people who influenced the food and the taste of food at his homestead, and so that inspired Mr. Isaac to actually bring about and name it Aachi, and so therefore, it also helped in simplifying the women's work, the end consumers. Now, this entire process of creating quality goods which women can readily and trustworthily use in their kitchens was what fueled the entire enterprise as such. Since this was a family business, we need to understand how a business family versus a family of businesses work. In this particular case, the business family, which represented the entire the spirit, the mind, the brain, the entire work ethic, was something which was led by Mr. Isaac, and he had Mr. Ashwin Pandian and Mr. Abhishek Abraham, both his sons, in key roles. And the companies they owned were: one, Aachi Masala Foods Private Limited, the one we are considering today. This had the core masala products which was their offering. Then they had Spices and Foods Private Limited, which looked at ground spices and food items as well, semi prepared or mostly something which was ready to consume. Then they had Special Foods Private Limited, which now also includes packaged drinking water. So, diversification, but keeping it in the general area of processed food and items which are related to food processing is where they kept their core competency. This helped them grow and also gave them a certain visibility as well as a certain trust that they were known for these kinds of products, and they achieved a certain quality benchmark, with which came the trust from first the Tamil Nadu and later the 4 South Indian state audiences that they were reaching out to. Now, they had a lot of brands, which is the family of businesses that they created. One was Aachi Masala itself, which was packed ground spices. Then they had Twin Birds, which was non-vegetarian pickle and curry products. Obviously, you have got certain things like mango, with which you include the spices, the oils, and you have a ready to consume product in the form of pickle. So, they looked at that particular extension. So, these are lateral extensions of products, which we have talked about in terms of the product thinking which an organization must get into. They had Frispoo, which was a snack range. Then they had Twinkle, which was a home cleaning range. Mind you that they still had the same target audience in mind, the homemaker, the lady of the house. Then they had Tanjus, which was bottled fruit juices. Again, the lady of the house would get these for the children of the house. and if any guests would come home, etc. So, everything is aimed at that particular audience, their needs and how to solve them. So, as you can see, the family of businesses is actually solving the human problem of that same particular target audience through its various offerings. You have Achi Water, again a trustworthy source of packaged drinking water. This would help ensure that the best quality water is available at the homestead. Ponni, which was edible vegetable oils which you use in cooking, etc. Then Sabash, which was herbal cosmetics, again a very forward thinking, forward moving kind of offering, and Blesso, which was a cough syrup. Now, cough syrups again for the family health, again your edible vegetable oils. Each of these items that you see is aimed at making the life of the lady of the house simpler. She is managing quite a lot on her plate, and so therefore, whether you are providing her with packaged spices, whether you are providing her with semi prepared food items which she can dish out, whether you are helping her keep her house spick and span, and whether you are helping her take care of her children, whether it be their foods or if they get a little sniffle in the weather change, then you help her out with the children's cough. Each of these aspects were ways in which the one particular target audience was being addressed, and since the entire messaging was similar, so the brand started to gain a lot of trust and visibility in their home states. The flagship product obviously was Achi Masala. Now, Achi Masala started with something called the Colombo chili powder. This is a spice which is very, very typical of South India and is a very, very inherent ingredient in most South Indian cuisine. This was something which they worked with, and this initially struggled because obviously there was visibility and the trust had to be built up, but then over time, since the quality was maintained and the communication also was sent out in a way that the people connected it with the motherly touch. The name itself also carried that particular idiom. So, now over time it has become a top performing product for the entire business. The core ingredient, Colombo chili powder, is also a base ingredient for many other masalas, and therefore, if you produce it as a packaged spice or whether you produce it as an input ingredient, we have talked about circular economy. Here the main masala was actually fueling other masalas as well, and so it was driving revenue growth, and once they achieved their core competency in this particular space, they managed to impact every other thing that they created in the masalas range. Then the process of expanding laterally started. Here you have got blended masalas. They had obviously, because there was a lot of variety in the audience set that they were catering to, they had the vegetarian offerings which would go into sambar, rasam, biryani, tamarind rice powder, etc. And then you had the non-vegetarian offerings which were chili chicken, fish, mutton, etc. So, they would capture the entire gamut of offerings on both sides of the food table, whether it be veg or non-veg. They also then started to expand, similar to other food processing brands which have reached a certain success in that space. So, gulab jamun mix, rice pastes for biryani, again tamarind paste and much more. So, processed food would give the necessary ingredients which the homemaker needed to actually help her cook faster, cook better and get a measured taste each time. That is where the trust part of that particular product and therefore, the brand was starting to get built. They, like we spoke of, had other offerings like pickles, primarily mango, lemon and garlic. Then they had ghee, they had jams and other snack items. They also had a packaging range from 100 kilos to 5 kilos. So, depending on the ask, you could actually create it for different kinds of customers and their consumption patterns. You also had sachets for low income buyers. So, they covered the entire gamut and economic strata by creating consumables SKUs, stock keeping units. Stock keeping units, which would provide a variety of price points and carriage function also in the form of how much the particular SKU would give them in terms of weight. Then they got into the distribution aspect of it. They worked very hard on the logistics and ensured that the product reached the entire swath of customers that it was catering to. Now, they boast of 5,000 agents and about 12 lakh retailers who they have tied up with across India. They also have something unique in the form of a hawker sales force. So, these people would carry a variety of masalas in one particular basket. These would obviously be the smaller SKUs, and about 700 odd personnel would target rural and remote areas, because here the consumption would be infrequent, and so therefore, you had to provide the beat of the salesperson going around and hawking the items. The vertical integration started after this. You had model shops. Now, model shops are branded outlets where the franchise or the real estate is branded in Achi brand colors, etc. They stocked all Achi products and even the lesser known categories, so that the customer could start exploring other categories which were not those fast moving items as the main masala range. Over time, the kind of success that they have achieved has been to tap into markets where diaspora has also landed, primarily the US and the Middle East. A lot of technology workers go in these places, on which especially the US market was ridden, and a lot of general labor and variety of other services are provided by Indian personnel in the Middle East. So, here also you had a complete understanding of what the brand was, and they carried the brand with them. They got it into stores in the localized areas where the Indian diaspora was internationally, and continued the experience of getting something which was trustworthy and something which the diaspora also believed in. And because of this capability, they and their exports flew, and they also went up to receive the Export Excellence Award in 2016 by FIO. So, overall a lot of success was being found by their systematic actions and by ensuring that whatever they created, it was available for a variety of customers at a differing point of the carriage weight, as well as the price point given what kind of SKU people were buying. The distribution also supported the entire activity and ensured that the reach was far and wide, whether it be right down to the local level inside of the country, as well as to international markets where diaspora went and were delighted to find the product in shelves there as well. This led to an advantage. This advantage is what actually built up the entire business empire for them. Because of the logistics spread and because of the ability to reach out to a large variety of markets and a lot of offtake happening of their products, they were able to give higher retail margins, which automatically helped retailers think that this was a trustworthy brand, and so they would front those particular brands. They were getting about 20% gross margins despite maintaining quality, where the industry standards are much lower at about 8 to 14%. So, here they gave a clear trade advantage to the retail environment, and because of which their products were fronted also and pushed as well, getting them better margins and obviously better overall value and revenue collected. And the sachet pricing format helped them because they could price it at as low as 2 rupees, 5 rupees, 10 rupees for the low income buyers, but even so it helped create a lasting brand recall, because any of the people across strata had used the brand and they would swear by it. The quality was maintained, the distribution was exemplary, the retail part was also very well fostered, and each economic strata was also catered to. So, overall it was a very robust movement which the brand created across all particular trade points as well as at all particular interaction avenues for people who were collaborators like retail and people who were end customers and across the strata like we have discussed. Then they took it further and actually created proper communication which was in the vernacular for that particular market. This was done primarily for the south markets first. So, they had above the line promotions which was in the form of TV, radio, etc., and you also had hoardings, etc., and they brought in celebrities like Devyani and Satyaraj. Now, these people are big in their native markets. The vernacular crowd obviously found them as a great connect, and this automatically helped them cement their approach in the 4 South Indian states automatically. And in the recent ad showcase, Mr. Isaac also has highlighted the quality and vision. So, alongside creating the product brand, showcasing the celebrity as a customer, Mr. Isaac has also created a human brand aspect of who it is, the face of the organization, who you should throw all the bouquets and the brickbats at. So, now people have a name, they have a face, they know who exactly is running the show at Aachi Masalas, and so therefore, they also understand who is the cause for anything good, bad, ugly happening to the brand and its products therefore. This helps people also connect at a very subliminal level, because if the person they are banking upon who is providing these products for them is thought to be a trustworthy, upright person who has actually worked very hard to ensure that everybody gets the best products, the brand goes up, and as well as the capabilities of that particular individual leading the entire enterprise is also reason for people to have trust in the overall brand as such. Also, in order to promote sales, they did a lot of BTL promotions. So, quantity purchases, they gave schemes for which higher retail shelf visibility was available. You get more from the brand and you get a discount off because of the quantity purchase, and you also are pushed to put it up on shelves, so that there is better visibility of the brand. They also ran strategic campaigns and they enhanced the distribution reach and customer loyalty over time. So, all of these things have helped them entrench themselves in the south markets very, very strongly, and the exact same thing is what they are trying to replicate up north as well. In terms of the product packaging and logistics, what they did was they created very, very modern tamper proof aroma retaining packs, because India has throughout its entire history been known for the cloth and the spices which it would produce. Spices were home to India and the world would come to India's doorstep just for spices. Keeping the spice fresh, aromatic and as a beautiful addition to food, something that could travel the distance and yet stay the course and be as fragrant as when it started off, helps people believe that the product they have received after paying is fantastic. It is something that their money has bought them worthwhile stuff. So, that is why ensuring the freshness and long shelf life, they actually got 24 months on the clock. So, getting that kind of shelf life actually helps people remember that the product will last longer. If it is good quality, the quality is being equated with all these particular offering and particular underlined, underscored aspects of the capabilities. So, these became differentiators for the brand, and which is something they are trying to push in the North Indian market as well now. Again, in the production, they created automated packing machines for efficiency. We have seen how production plays an important role in the entire marketing chain. Your customer feedback and the ability to provide in right amounts of time and quantity the SKUs that we have spoken of, all of these factors have worked in Achi's favor. They also have an in-house truck fleet ensuring timely deliveries across all markets. So, they have created not only the lateral variance in terms of the product sway that they also have vertical integration in the form of the capabilities and competencies that they have built into the systems and processes, ensuring quality, timely and value worthy delivery throughout. This has been the moniker of success, and now they are a 2000 crore brand plus. So, this 2000 crore is something which is the reward that customers have given them because of the quality and the consistency with which they have actually worked their entire offering out. Now, what were the insights and what were the innovations that the management at Achi looked into in order to ensure that what they delivered was great? They actually found that during his morning walks, Mr. Isaac would actually think very hard on product development. He would spend time on himself. This is the mark of good leadership, when they are able to spend time thinking about how to improve systems, how to improve processes, how to catch all the gaps that could be there or are possibly there, inspect them in their own mind, and that introspection helps the leader pinpoint where the flaws could be in the organization. And so, therefore, they were able to plug the holes. The same ability allowed them to observe that discarded packaging was a problem for them, and they understood that local preferences and food habits also drove the kind of attention people gave to the kind of packaging in which the produce and the products came to them. They managed, if you have seen in the past slide, you have seen about the tamper proof and the 24-month lasting packaging, which helped the customer retain that particular spice for longer, and it automatically made a lot of sense for customer benefits, and this helped the Achi Masala brand step outside of the shadow of competition. They also had a very strong focus on research and development. The products were always getting refined, the packaging innovations we have already spoken of, and food labeling. So, they kept it conversant with guidelines because they were also exporting. So, that exposure also gave them the ability to showcase that they were doing the needful. They had every policy and every particular consideration from food safety perspectives in mind, because stringent norms applied to export markets. Therefore, their compliance also helped them create that particular imagery for the local internal markets as well. And where they did not have capabilities, they actually collaborated with manufacturing to ensure that the suitability for diverse markets was always taken into consideration. This is what is helping them expand into markets northward. The weather, climate, etc., is different, the food choices are different, the cuisine is different. All of these considerations were part of what Achi Masala had planned for, because they kept their vertical integration in place. They had that very sharp focus on research development and ensuring that the customer never felt that the product was subpar. So, this was something which was continuously on the minds of the management at Achi Masala. Again, creating a distinct, unique flavor profile is very important. You have got spices. Spices are known only because of the kind of flavoring they provide to food, and India has a very wide and very distinct palate when you change region to region. So, therefore, in order to manage that particular product delivery, there were a lot of spices which were very carefully selected and then brought into play. Distinct spices were looked at: bay leaves, cinnamon, cumin, fennel, kasuri methi, mango powder, mint, pomegranate seeds. All of these things are in huge demand in northern markets compared to how it was in the case in South India. So, ensuring that the North Indian palate was also met with very capably is something which Aachi Masala also studied, and this was a human and cultural challenge as well. So, that is why they constantly ensured that the variety and the quality was never skimped upon. Again, the different kind of chili which was used in North India, which is the red chili or lal mirch as it is famously known, it complements these ingredients and provides that unique taste and aroma. This is something which has been caught on by other big masala brands northwards of the Deccan as well, and they have always promoted the mirchi as the primary masala which gives them the necessary eyeballs. It is a certain philosopher's stone, if you will, a certain way to check whether this masala company has got the right roots and is able to create masalas which favor the Indian palate. In 2015, they launched this as part of the company's northward expansion strategy, and they created the standard mix. So, you had universal masalas like garam masala, where you had two variants, royal and super. Then you had the kitchen king masala, again a staple in most North Indian kitchens, and this was something which was suitable for both veg and non-veg dishes. And then you had specialty masalas. So, you had the chaat masala, you had chana masala, you had pani puri masala, jal jeera masala, paneer tikka masala, all the favorites that were part of the cuisine, that were part of the cultural intake in North India were addressed. And because of these specialty masalas, they matched whosoever was there in the northern markets step by step. They went toe to toe with the established players who were already playing out here in the northern markets. Again, what came to their help was the packaging and pricing, which they had learnt very painstakingly in their home state. Now, in terms of packaging, they put out 15 grams, 50 grams package for ease of use, so that people could buy whatever amount they needed as per their usage. Some people use a heavy masala hand, some people have a light masala hand. So, they gave packaging in a way so that the SKUs would take care of the needs of the individual cook at home. Also, this extended shelf life due to innovative packaging is something which they carried. So, the 24 months guarantee is something which Aachi Masala also pushed forth in the North India belt, and that got them clear consumer eyeballs as well. Here again, pocket friendly pricing was a big factor for people to sample first, and once they got to know that this masala is as good if not better, then the adoption bit came in. So, this pocket friendly pricing was a great way to include newer people as triads into their fold, and this helped them attract a wider customer base in northern and eastern India, the markets where there is a lot of variety in cuisine. So, they actually managed to create enough of a dent in these markets through these policies, through these tactics like we have talked about in the G-stick framework in previous conversations. Now, in terms of the strategic goals for the new markets, they have taken up northern and eastern India as their markets of choice, where they want to create the necessary inroads. Here they want to establish Aachi as a key player in the competitive space. They have got unique product blends, they have got very accessible pricing, so that people by the droves can actually come and experience the Achi Masala offerings. Again, their mainstay, the superior shelf life packaging, is something which has helped them keep a very strong stance in the consumer's eyes. Whosoever has seen it and tried it has found it to be a clear differentiator in favor of Achi Masalas. So, now let us talk about who else stands in that particular space. Obviously, they have to take market share away from established players, and these established players have a lot of share of voice, they have lot of media burn, they have a lot of visibility and a lot of standard recent memory in the minds of consumers. The top of mind awareness that we speak of is great when it comes to all these established brands. So, you have got market leader Everest, you have got MDH which is a close second, and then you have got a variety, each of which in North India has a particular standing. Badshah, MTR again from south has managed to create enough of a stick in north. Catch is there, Ramdev is there. Then you have got other new players like Priya, which is majorly into pickles also, and then Patanjali, which has also climbed up the ladder. So, a variety of players are there. There are others like Rajesh and Pushp also, which have limited geographies in which they are working well. So, today they are taking the fight to Everest, which is the largest spice brand in India and based out of Mumbai. These people have got a very strong 400,000, 4 lakhs outlets across 1000 plus towns, and they have 42 plus masala brands. So, which is a huge variety which they put out on offer, and they sell 3.7 billion packs annually. So, that is a huge Goliath which the David of Achi is taking on. And the other big one is the Delhi NCR based Mahashiyadi Hatti, which is MDH, popularly known and embodied by the owner again. You have seen the elderly grandfatherly owner of Mahashay Chunilal being captured on television and in advertisement. Now, the gentleman has passed and the baton has moved on to his son. They are again known for unique traditional North Indian spice blends, and their communication is iconic and recognized across the country. So, they have taken on two very big behemoths in the masala space. The third is Catch Masala, a young peppy new India kind of offering, and this also competes very vigorously in the North India masala segment. So, these are three large brands that are up for the fight. Also, in terms of hing especially and the red mirch, Ramdev masalas have also been a very strong contender, at least in the north markets, and they also have a significant market share in the other masalas category. These are top players they have taken on. So, the fight is not easy, but in order to dislodge these bigger players and gain market share from them is something which is a continuous challenge for a challenger brand from the south like Achi. Other than these, there are regional competition in the form of MTR, which is also into processed food. Primarily, the processed food aspect is more popular when it comes to MTR. They also have a strong presence in South India, and in 1924, they were established by the Maya family, and they have already pipped them by going into North Indian masalas, ready to cook products and global markets as well. So, they have the advantage of having started earlier than Achi. So, Achi has to catch up with them, and then there is a 1975 born Erode, Tamil Nadu origin brand called Shakti Masala. So, these are brands which they are also catering to in terms of local competition. This also has diverse South and North Indian masalas in their entire offering set. So, in all, the kind of opposition, the kind of competition which Achi Masalas is facing is very diverse, and they are looking at twofold competition. One is the national dominance of brands like Everest, MDH, Catch, etc., and they already have deep established distribution networks. The other regional players like MTR and Shakti Masala are providing the localized competition which they are also contending with, and the new young age brands like Catch and the very traditional sounding Ramdev, these are also diversifying the competitive space, which they are also putting up a big fight on. And this is the entire red ocean that we spoke of. It is not an easy market to play in. It is also commoditized, because chili is chili, dhania is dhania, kasuri methi is kasuri methi, and then the mixed blends like paneer tikka, sambar, various other chicken masalas, chicken 65, paneer 65, kitchen kings, etc. of the world. These are standard go-to masalas. So, there is nothing which can help a brand differentiate from the others. All the brands have a chana masala, all the brands have a chole masala, all the brands have a Punjabi chole masala. So, the diversity of the offerings is also just based on the trust that the individual mothership brand can hold. So, that is the trust value which can be built in, and that is where the fight is really at. That brings us to the differentiators. Very, very clearly, the pocket friendly pricing is the first line of defense, because that helps them get more people into the funnel, even to try things out, and people do try things out. So, that is one way they get more people to try them out, and then they keep them there with the quality that they are providing. The extended shelf life speaks of how good the masalas are, how well they stay, and the kind of packaging they are provided in. So, that gives a competitive advantage over rivals, a clear advantage. And once masalas get purchased, not all of the masala will be consumed immediately. Inside the household also there are bottles and jars inside which masalas are stored. So, they need that kind of shelf life, and they need to be fresh across that entire shelf life, so that the consumer feels that they have bought into something which is truly worth the value they have placed in terms of money. Again, going far and wide in terms of a distribution network is important, and the strong reach which they had across Tamil Nadu and beyond is something which they are replicating in these newer markets as they expand into them. And like we spoke of, retailer friendly policies, because at the end of the day, who is going to push your product? Who is going to ensure that your product is visible, is seen, and probably promoted at the point of purchase inside the retail environment? So, these are aspects where the higher gross margins which they have given to the retailers helps them create a differentiated space, and it gets promoted by the retailer to the end consumer and is better than the market standards. Hence, it gives the consumer a better product and the retailer a reason to sell that particular better product to its customers. And because they have an established deep strength in the brand, what they are able to do is they are actually able to leverage the household presence in Tamil Nadu households, and they have a cultural resonance as well. So, the Tamil centric brand name, it creates that recall and mind share that this is something which comes from India, and if there is in North India the primary being sambar masala, because sambar is also cooked, idlis, dosas are also consumed in North India. These particular aspects help create a certain belief system around the brand and gives it that little cultural twist, which once it gets that particular brand inside the house, opens the doors for other variants also to be probed and consumed by the end consumer. In terms of the national ambition, they want to expand and capture a decent market share in the North Indian masala segment and pan India markets. So, this is what their intent is. They have been at it for about a decade now. And in terms of the product range, like we discussed, diversification. So, they have created the variants, they have created the vertical integration as well. So, they get the products out there. This helps them reach a diverse customer and meet their preferences, because obviously you expanding into North India, expanding into East India, cuisines differ. The kind of staples that are eaten differ. East India is more rice specific, North India is more wheat, barley, jowar, bajra specific. So, the kind of cuisines also demand different kinds of masalas. The vegetarian versus non-vegetarian masala requirements also shift from region to region. So, hence all of these factors taken together gives a very, very watchful brand like Achi an advantage, and it allows them to start chipping away at market share from established entrenched market leaders. But they are not yet out of the woods. So, there will be challenges ahead, and which is why they need to be aware. Situational awareness, like we have spoken of, needs to be had by the marketer sitting inside of Achi. They know that this market has an uncertain outcome. This is all commoditized. So, the limited price variation that they can do despite giving such a large margin to their end customer, to the retailer, is something which they have to always keep an eye on. Their success actually depends on how well they can overcome competition and their operational hurdles, how their logistics can grow, how their dealer and distribution network can increase, what kind of margins can they throw at the retailer to get more offtakes of their particular products. Strategy wise, they are strengthening their market presence and leveraging the unique brand strengths like we spoke of. Get one foot in the door through the sambar, then get other products also bundled into it, and let people sample it, figure it out, and also give them belief stories like the 24-month shelf life aspect, which are clear differentiators and points that work in favor of the brand. The strong competition is not going to take it lightly. So, Everest, MDH, they all play for whatever their strengths are in the brand, and they keep pushing the newcomers, newbies out of the market. But yes, it is a tough fight. They have got South Indian credo and they are trying to build it in North. In terms of brand loyalty also, whatever you have got in terms of an entrenched customer preference in North India is difficult to break, because people have been consuming over generations. They have been seeing only one kind of masala being brought in at home. So, masalas are taste of food, and it impacts the mood of the house, because if food is good, people are feeling all jovial and nice about it. If the food is not great, then the mood of the household automatically dips, and this is a big risk for the homemaker. So, they will obviously touch it with kid gloves, and you have to ensure that you get the right kind of belief system going, which is why all of the differentiation, all of these ease of purchase, etc., is being actually worked upon, so that the brand gets into the kitchen and is at least sampled, if not actually completely taken on. Logistics and retailing, again, supply chain complexities will exist in new regions, and the brand has to overcome these, so that it is able to hold on to whatever it is supposed to gain in terms of market share and get a particular toehold in those particular regions. So, Achi Masala, a brand from South India trying to make forays in North India, is a big challenge. The vernacular acceptance and the complete cultural jump that it is making from south to north across the Vindhya mountains and coming from Deccan to the northern plains is a big challenge. It is a big gamble, it is a big bet. And in these particular aspects, it is remarkable that the particular brand has to take into consideration the challenges and the entrenched players, and they are also operating in a red ocean space. So, this growth story is definitely rooted in smart marketing planning, and it puts people at the heart of the entire aspect, because you have to win people over, whether it be the people who are effecting better sales for you in the business scenario, your retail environment, or whether it is the end consumer who gives you a chance by sampling you, and then they start believing in you, or not for that matter. So, you have to win them over. So, that winning of people's hearts is very, very important. Beyond this, the beginnings as a South Indian favorite, this brand has truly evolved its understanding and what its customers want. At the end of the day, keeping an eye out on what is it that is driving the aspirations, the the pains and the desires of the end consumer is absolutely unmissable for any sort of good marketer. So, this is something they have to always and very stringently keep looking at. Affordable prices help you get the product out there. Long lasting products ensure that your quality is seen and believed in, and great margins for retailers ensure offtakes even at the secondary sales, which is the customer or consumer level sales. Those things keep happening. So, through all these activities, Aachi has earned trust and loyalty, but yes, it has a long way to go yet. And the expansion into North Indian masalas shows that it listens to the regional tastes. It has catered to the requirement of shifting cuisines, different masala requirements as such, and thereby creating these flavors that feel familiar, because food is all about personal comfort. If you are not comfortable with the food you eat, you will always be in a different agitated state of mind. So, food has to feel familiar, it has to feel comfortable, and that is precisely where the entire job of a masala company truly resides. With a strong distribution network, eye-catching packaging and creative, the kind of promotions that they do, the kind of support that they give to their entire distribution network, these have made it a household name. It has started entering into people's homes. And in this entire exercise, the thoughtful planning that Aachi has brought into play has helped them and is still helping them overcome the challenges and giving it the success that it aspires for. So, this is a story of a brand which has grown from a regional and is knocking at the door of the big boys playing in the larger Indian market. It also throws light on the aspects of consumers, how they think, what they want, what makes them tip themselves off the fence and probably get into the purchase funnel. So, going further, in the next conversation, we will have to start talking about the consumer. The consumer's universe is very complex, it is very detailed, and it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of labyrinthine exploration as well. There are lots of dead ends, there are lots of things to be explored. You can keep at it till the cows come home, and you will never feel that you have learnt enough about the consumer. So, in the next conversation, we will start tinkering with the consumer's universe. So, that is all for today. Thank you for being a wonderful audience.
Hello and welcome to this piece of literary snippet. We usually know William Shakespeare as the most revered figure in the history of English literature. But we often tend to forget that he has also been one of the most hated figures in literature. And here I am not talking only about those boys and girls who have to memorize long sections from Macbeth or King Lear or Julius Caesar before they can go and sit for their school or college exams. But I am also talking about people who are themselves quite famous authors. Tolstoy, for instance, considered the writings of Shakespeare to be, and I quote, crude, immoral, vulgar, and senseless. George Bernard Shaw absolutely loathed Shakespeare, as he did Homer. But perhaps no other criticism about Shakespeare is more damaging than the one which says that Shakespeare is a marvelous storyteller, provided someone has told him the story earlier. Now, this piece of criticism is particularly damaging because it is true. None of Shakespeare's plays contain any original story whatsoever. They are all written using pre-existing materials, pre-existing stories. Now, does that diminish the stature of Shakespeare as a dramatist? Well, I'll leave that for you to decide. See you in the next episode of Literary Snippets.